All right, Roz, you know Taylor,
I do know Taylor.
and you've worked with thousands of people, and you heard the advice I gave her last. It was actually about 3 weeks ago, and in that time, she's been really good. She's going to talk all about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've already interviewed her. We're talking. This is like a prequel, if you will. But what's your opinion on it? I gave my opinion to Taylor. People listened. I was getting tons of requests and emails. Hey, what's going on with Taylor? Because I think it really resonated with a lot of people, which is why I'm always a big fan of, hey, can we chat about this? Can we record it? I'm not doing it to just put you on the spot. I'm doing it because it's like that old question we get in elementary school where the teacher would be like, ask your question because someone else probably has it too.
Right.
Did you not have that in England?
Yeah.
Yeah, you looked at me like I was crazy. But what was your opinion on what was going on?
With Taylor?
Well, and what she should do.
Well, I think, you kind of hit the nail on the head. And it's funny because we've had this discussion recently too, but you just cannot be consistency. Like giving your body the right amount of food day in and day out and being honest with yourself about it too. Like, when you're not dialed in. Honestly, like if you're not recording little things here and there, you're helping self to like little extra bites here and there in the kitchen, like I sometimes do when I'm baking. um, you know, when that's happening, and you just got to be honest, own up to it, dial yourself in, and get back to being consistent. I think first and foremost, before you start messing around, changing numbers or wondering what on earth else is going wrong, take a look at your diary. Are you being truthful there?
Yeah, I think we make these analogies often, but your nutrition and your health and your fitness is just analogous
Yeah, absolutely.
with everything you do. You got to be consistent. You got to be true to yourself, and you got to trust the process.
Absolutely.
And I think if you guys stay tuned, it doesn't take long. It takes about 12, 15 minutes to dive into this. So hopefully you're going to listen, and Taylor's going to give you her recount of what happened the last 3 weeks. And I think you guys are going to be happy and surprised, and it's going to be eye-opening. She drops a couple other great knowledge bombs in there, and I, of course, do as well.
Of course.
But we're really excited to present you with this, and hopefully it resonates with you. If it does, please reach out to us. Go in the tribe, post in there, send us an email, contact@ownyoureating.com. We can't say this enough. We do this because we love you guys, and you guys allow us to do it, and we're able to help you and thousands of others. So keep being a part of this awesome community. Anything to add, Roz?
Be honest.
It's late. We're recording this late at night. We got a big day ahead of us, a big weekend ahead of us, so we're trying to get a little ahead of the game. Forgive Roz for being a little bit sleepy.
I'm not sleepy. I just honestly didn't know where you were going next.
How would you know if I don't know? So, anyway, stay tuned. Part 2 of our life conversation with Taylor Haydock coming up next. So, last time we had Taylor on, we got a little reel about she needed to dial it in for, I think it was 2 weeks at the time. Is that right?
That I had kind of been off the rails?
Yes. No, that we said we would touch base and see.
Well, we talked on December the 12th, so it's been, with the holiday in between, like, it's more like 3 weeks now, I guess.
So, I was getting a lot of questions, comments, people asking, how has it been going?
So, it's been going really well, actually. I kind of just needed a little pep talk, I guess, just like we all do from time to time, and just kind of getting back into the swing of it, like being very intentional, the night before or first thing in the morning before anything happened, making sure that you plan. And, as a teacher, planning is so important, and they always say with anything, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that's kind of the rut that I had fallen into without even realizing it. I just think you get busy and and you don't realize kind of the root of what's causing these issues. So yeah, it was just good to get back into it. It's been going really well, and also like with the holidays in there, I was a little concerned. So I'd say like out of the last, I was trying to do the math here, 8, 19, I don't know, 22, 23-ish days. I mean, if you did the math on a meal or two, I might have been off due to the holidays, or it was difficult to track. I would say I was up in like the, 90, over 90%, I mean, I tracked everything, but 90% dialed in within 5, each day, since we last spoke.
Really awesome. I mean, I think because we had that talk, hopefully it got you a little bit motivated, especially that time of year where
for sure.
the holidays were there.
Mm-hmm.
So the big question that everybody wants answered is what happened? How'd you progress?
So, I would say, with respect to the scale, so I was like really popped up there. I just think with like sodium intake, just kind of not really watching it. I mean, I was back around like, and not hydrating also, like 146 probably. Still fitting into everything, like still okay at the gym, but it was just kind of, you just feel, how you feel, and you're just kind of just like blah, and then you see that number shoot up, and you're like, oh geez, even though it's not always about that. I am, this morning I was up a little bit for some reason, but I was hovering right around 139 there, pretty solid. So I was pretty pleased with that, and I think, for whatever reason, if something, I was looking back in my notes, like, did I not track something right, or we made a recipe, like maybe something didn't go through the right way, because we've been cooking more, but, I like to stay, I have never gotten below 137, that was this summer, and I would like to get, back more consistently with that number. So, but I would say in 3 weeks, consistently dialing it in with probably 4 days, possibly 3 to 4 days where I had a holiday splurge meal and a couple extra drinks, over the top at family celebrations. I'm pretty pleased with a 7-pound deficit there. So
I'd agree. I'd say 7 pounds this time of year is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'd say most people aren't losing weight this time of year, so.
Yeah, so for you to be down, and I think, big picture, what we really wanted to take from that, and, I want to pat myself on the back here for a little bit, but, you were ready to kind of change some numbers, make these tweaks, and I think it was eye-opening that sometimes it's just like, hey, you got to get back on and do what worked for you.
It's something that was really simple. It wasn't, necessarily moving mountains or like starting completely over or recalculating it to some magic number. It's like always go back to what you were doing to see if you do it consistently, if there is, something that's holding you up. I had to be able to say that I was doing it consistently. So
exactly, and now you're at a point where potentially we can adjust. Now, I still don't think there's a reason. The scale's moving in the right direction. 7 pounds in 3 weeks is pretty awesome. Obviously, like you said, too, a little bloated maybe in the beginning. But I'd say continue to ride this wave until the scale stops moving or until your body tells you otherwise. And
that sounds good.
I think one thing you put out there that was kind of, don't want it to get overlooked by the listeners is you saw a bump in the scale. And you didn't freak out, and one thing you did was go back the day before and kind of take a look at what might have happened. So,
and that just shows the importance of like tracking, even if it's not going to be perfect. I mean, that really taught me that lesson again. I mean, I knew that, but I kind of had gotten away from it. And like when you have a little string there of days or weeks for some where it's not perfect and you kind of fall off, it's like it's very overwhelming because you're like, well, look what I've done now, and if you just treat every day like a new day, and so what, you blow it one night because you didn't plan that dinner or you got an invite out, or enjoy your life, like do have those moments, but know that the next day you can go back on, it's okay, but planning is crucial, especially Yeah, I mean, even especially when you're busy, but even if you're bored, I mean, I think a busy lifestyle in boredom can also lead to going off track. So I think for anybody, whatever kind of lifestyle you lead, planning is key for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's like we've all had times in our lives where we're either busy or bored or stressed, and they all can potentially lead to emotional eating or
Oh yeah.
partying with friends, celebrating, all of those things. And that's the reason tracking is so important because it can, like you said, regardless of what's going on, plan that day out and it will help keep you dialed in.
Mm-hmm. But I will say, like, when you are dialed in, and I mean, people say, "Oh, is that macro friendly?" or "Do you eat pretty clean?" or and it's like I eat whatever. I mean, generally we are like we do keep on hand like fresher, um, you know, nutrient dense types of foods because I just like how it makes me feel. I mean, I just feel better. I perform better. But I'm sure. I mean, obviously, with flexible eating, there are lots of variations that you could fill your day up with. But those few times with holiday meals and celebrations where I did like go overboard, with cookies or this meal out that I couldn't really track. Oh, I just felt like it's just completely different. Not only did I go over in calories, but just in the ingredients I was taking into my body, I just really did not feel well for that, couple of hours or, overnight. I like couldn't wait for it to be the next day so I could just start fresh again. So, but it was worth it.
Absolutely, and that's something actually Roz and I have been talking a lot about, making sure people don't use this as a form of only eating bad foods. You still have to fuel your body with good quality, make sure you're getting your micronutrients, and, as well as you, what I've been doing for the last 3 weeks or so is really eating primarily good quality foods and still really feeling amazing with that.
Well, and you can eat so much more, really. I mean, if you need more, like, dense, that'll keep you fuller longer. I feel like if you do indulge and you eat, the crap that's, I mean, what do you say, that carbs and fats are fast and dirty? They taste good, and in that moment, it's like the best thing ever. But I mean, you're going to be back in the kitchen in the next hour, so you need to think about, especially if you're in the gym or you expend a lot of energy throughout the day in your job. You really need to pay attention to that because it can really affect how you feel and how you go on about your day. And then you get home and you're ravenous, which was happening to me when I was really hitting it hard with my business and like kind of lost sight of how I was fueling myself. Then you come home and you just want to eat everything. So you just have to be careful. Again, back to the mindfulness of it and intentionality behind it. So.
Yeah, I think, one thing Roz does really well is just live by that 80-20. You don't want to go too crazy because that'll lead to binging. But at the same time, if you only go, with quick and dirty foods, like you said, but still hit your numbers, that might not be ideal either.
Yeah, right, you do. It's all about finding a balance, and there's really no right or wrong, and people ask me all the time, like, oh, I want to look at your diary, or what did you eat, or, they'll make some kind of comment like, I saw you had such an, and I'm like, it almost makes me want to, like, take it off there, like, for public viewing, because, everybody has their different preferences, and what works for my body might not necessarily work for somebody else, but sometimes on the flip side, it's nice that they see, oh my gosh, you had that half cup of, full-fledged ice cream, and you didn't have to eat the cheap brand that doesn't even taste that great, that you can really have real food. I try to eat things as real as possible. I'm not a big diet drinker, light, reduced fat, sugar free. Like, it's just like, if we're gonna do it, like, let's do it. So I like to try to get things in their most rich form if I can.
I love it, and I think you're right. Sometimes it's good for others to get ideas or for them to just look and say, wow, she really does eat that food.
Yeah. So it can kind of be a blessing and a curse, though, I think.
Cool. Well, I'm not going to keep you too long. I know you have like 8 kids running around the house.
Just 2 here. Feels like 8 sometimes, but just 2. That's all. If you count Justin, it's a third.
Yeah, you got 3 running around, whole bunch of jobs. but I appreciate it, and I hope everyone that's listening really takes heed of the message that Taylor's giving of, hey, stick to the basics, do it right, be consistent, live 80-20, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, and I think also just one last thing is at like 300 plus days in, like, you think you get the hang of it and you're like, oh, I got this. And I don't know, maybe I was like being a little, it was just kind of a wake up call. Like, you're never too good for this nonsense. You know what I mean? I don't think I was thinking that, but like my actions may have shown otherwise. Like, everybody starts the next day over just like the person who's starting for the very first day. Like, everybody has to do the same thing. To be consistent and to continue, having success with this. Like, yeah, we have our setbacks, but even at 300 days in, like, I still got a kind of a smack in the face, needed a kick in the pants, and was like, hey, get your stuff together. So it was refreshing. I'm glad it happened. Like, I definitely think it was a good lesson to be learned, and it just kind of makes this whole process like more worthwhile and I'm happy to share this with other people.
Well, we are happy you shared it. Thank you so much, and you be in touch as you always are, but certainly when it's time to add more food, we got your back and we'll help you do that.
Alrighty, thanks, Jason.
All right, Taylor, you have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
You heard it, Roz. Like we said beforehand, you can't beat consistency. Taylor's down 7 pounds in 3 weeks, simply from getting back to what worked. I don't know why in this life we often look for different answers. We look in different places. I'm sure there's a cliche quote we can throw out there, but the truth is, sometimes it just goes back to what was working well.
Yeah, go back to basics. There's no reason to make things complicated. There's no reason to stress yourself out and start worrying about nutrient timing and do I need to do carb cycling and whatever else you've heard about. Just get back to basics and really lock down those fundamentals. That's where it's at.
That's where it's at. That is exactly where it's at.
ABT, baby. Always be tracking.
Always be tracking. You heard it from Roz. You heard it from me. Thanks again for listening. Check out the site, ownyoureating.com. Check out the Facebook group, the Own Your Eating Tribe. Find us on Instagram, Own Your Eating, Twitter, Snapchat, Tinder, all those places.
Wait a minute. When were we on Tinder?
We'll save that for another podcast. See you guys later.